They're trying to tell a story like they told with Daniel Bryan and Triple H, and it's not going to work because Roman Reigns isn't a sympathetic figure in the way that Daniel Bryan is. So if they're telling this story with Roman Reigns, he is going to be smothered under who Triple H is.
And that's where Roman Reigns needs to come in. That's what Roman Reigns needs to show the badass that he can be.
But here's the problem. Here's what I'm talking about. If there are issues going on behind the scenes, a power struggle, and Roman Reigns is caught in the middle, and that's where you're getting the inconsistent booking and shit like that, how can he escape that? Could possibly be collateral damage. How does he take that and say, okay, it's about time that I be a badass?
And
like, you can't be a badass in the boardroom. PWF Empire Live viewer were sent the following email in regarding a conspiracy theory that is starting to gain traction on the internet. The theory states that Roman Reigns is the victim of a quote-unquote calculated hit designed to sabotage his push. And if you want the entire post, go ahead and go to pwfempire.com and look for the post. Is Roman Reigns the victim of Triple H's political hit job? I'm going to read a few excerpts from this email here. In a nutshell, Reigns' WrestleMania opponent Triple H has used his influence within WWE to shape Reigns' push with the intent of making it fail. The goal is that he wants a quote-unquote Triple H guy to inherit the top spot in the company. It's a perfect storm for Triple H as he is the father of NXT, maybe the most beloved aspect of WWE by hardcore fans, which is pivotal in garnering him the reaction he needs for this theory to work. Now, if you look at the way in which Roman Reigns is booked, and this gives out a few examples. I just talked about on PWF Empire Live, watching Monday Night Raw. There was no question in my mind who was the bigger star. There was no question in my mind who was the actual baby face. There was no question in my mind who the hell I was going to be rooting for. And the answer to all of that is Triple H. In that segment at the end of Monday Night Raw, you had a fair fight one-on-one between Triple H and Roman Reigns, and Triple H beats the entire hell out of Roman Reigns and does so in a way that basically invites the audience in to cheer for Triple H, banging Roman Reigns' head against the table, and the crowd is chanting yes. There was nothing done to stop the crowd from doing that, and you also have Triple H doing the suck it motion from fan favorite D-Generation X. You incorporate the blood into everything that's going on, and of course with WWE lacking blood, the fact that Triple H is the reason why we get blood back in WWE, everybody is loving him, everybody is going crazy for him. You could hear the crowd chanting for Triple H, and this is supposed to be Roman Reigns' story. All indications will point to Roman Reigns being the top guy in WWE, or at least it would seem as if that is their intention. But this continues on, and it says that the end game for this theory is that at WrestleMania, Triple H is cheered loudly with the entire world watching. The question will be asked, if the uber heel Triple H can be cheered versus a guy, how can that guy be the guy? So if we're in a situation where Triple H can't get Roman Reigns over, how the hell can Roman Reigns be the next top face in WWE? And it goes on to say that Roman Reigns will win the match, but Triple H can't lose. And the email ends in saying, I won't say I believe this theory, but any conspiracy theory is strengthened by the status quo being seemingly impossible or worthy of questioning. You can't deny that over the last year plus, you have questioned, how could this company be this incompetent on countless occasions? Maybe they can't be. It's worth asking the question, right? So I'm going to go ahead and ask that question right now. Do you guys think that this theory that Triple H is intentionally sabotaging Roman Reigns' position in WWE, do you think it has any credence?
Triple H, being a political figure and wrestling being a political field and a political sport in and of itself, I can buy into Triple H actually throwing his weight around and doing what he can to reverse what's been done wrong here, if for no other reason than to prove a point backstage. Triple H is possibly taking the company over in some years to come, and this could be, like, not the straw to break the camel's back, but it could be, you know, the shot heard around the world, if you will, where this is what changes the tides as far as how superstars are being booked, because it's being done from the inside, from somebody who has a very high point of authority.
You said what Triple H is doing right now is attempting to reverse the damage done to Roman Reigns' character.
Yes. So what I mean by that is that Roman Reigns hasn't necessarily organically gotten over, and the IWC being what it is, if they get any hint that some guy is being pushed from the top, their instinct is to naturally boo him. And Reigns has had somewhat of a push like that. And I think Triple H's motive for wanting to reinsert himself in some kind of a facet, if you will, is to ensure that the correct outcome comes out of this long booking example, because too much of Roman Reigns going out there and hugging fat chicks and kissing babies and being a corporate shill, that's not what we want to see. That's not what I don't think anybody really wants to see.
No.
And Triple H, even if it comes at his expense, Triple H almost, I feel like he the person, feels a need to insert himself just to ensure that we reach the right thing with Roman Reigns, because even, the email even addressed it. Because Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, even if he did nothing wrong leading up to this match, he is going to get booed by virtue of we don't like you because of where you are in the company. So it's almost a no-brainer that Triple H should take on this persona, because they're going to cheer him anyway. And at least
no, but see, here's the thing though with the theory though. You're saying that Triple H is doing this to help out Roman Reigns. That goes completely against what the theory is stating. The theory is stating that Triple H is taking advantage of the fact that Roman Reigns is disliked and inserting himself here to basically say that Roman Reigns is not a Triple H guy. And so what Triple H is going to do is insert himself into what's going on in the feud right now, and just like he did on Monday Night Raw, show the entire world that this guy is a bum. He's a scrub. He's not worthy of being the top star in WWE. So I'm going to get into this feud, and if, at least on paper, Triple H is being projected as this big, badass, mega heel, we all know that that's not true in reality. It's not true in reality. On Monday Night Raw, Triple H was a fucking face. Triple H was the biggest star on the show. And if we get Roman Reigns into a situation where he's in opposition to Triple H and he can't get over, then that's a fucking problem. It really is a problem. And that is something that I believe it could possibly be deliberate. And what this does is it puts Triple H into a position where he says, okay, you went with Roman Reigns as a top guy in this company. It didn't work because he didn't get my seal of approval. He didn't get my stamp of approval. What you need to do is get somebody that I signed off on. So that's what the theory is stating, that Triple H is basically taking Roman Reigns along for this ride, and he's basically a pawn in a larger game for Triple H to get more influence within WWE.
I think at some point there was no intent on Triple H's part to do this to Roman Reigns. I think it's a matter of frustration. Like, even with us, the fans, maybe Triple H feels sort of the same way as many fans do in regards to Roman Reigns and the direction that he's been given over the last 2 years. I don't think it's something that he's meaning to do on purpose. I think he's out to make a statement, kind of like what you said, Jay. He's out to prove a point that, hey, if this does not work at WrestleMania, to tie into what Cass also said, if God himself does not make this work, or if somehow this whole thing just completely blows ass at WrestleMania, then that's it. Triple H makes a statement that Roman Reigns is not the answer. He's not the guy anymore. I think.
So basically, you're saying Triple H has put himself into a position where he's saying, I'm going to do everything I can for you to get your ass over, and if it doesn't work, then
it's a mixture. It's a mixture of both. I want to say he probably wants to bring out the best in Roman Reigns, and he wants to challenge WWE. But I also think in his mind, because he has an ego, I think he also wants not only to accomplish the sake of him being a champion, but he also wants to be right and say that WWE, you fucked up. So it's probably a thing like, prove to me I'm wrong, and if I'm not wrong, then I made you guys a fool. I think it's a matter of that. And like I said, there's been many disgruntled employees in the past, Batista, CM Punk, for example, because of Triple H's influence. So it doesn't surprise me that there is some truth to this. And I believe that there is some truth to this, because if you tie into the whole CM Punk situation and the Batista situation, they're very similar in that both guys did not get what they want because Triple H had a say in all of this, and they felt screwed out of that. But in this instance, I don't think Triple H is purposely trying to hurt anybody. I just think he feels his vision is better at this moment than the vision of WWE creatives or Vince McMahon's vision is right now. I think
But
that's
here's the
what it comes
thing, though. Like, you say that, and you say he's not trying to hurt anyone. So is it just a situation where? Because here's the thing: if Triple H gets his way, as you say he's trying to, then Roman Reigns is going to be hurt in the process. If Triple H is saying my vision for WWE is better than what WWE Creative's vision for WWE is right now, if their vision is Roman Reigns and Triple H is saying my vision is better than that, Roman Reigns is getting tossed off to the damn side. So I guess based off of what you're saying, he's not intentionally trying to hurt him. It's like collateral damage, and I don't give a fuck whether
Yes, exactly.
succeed or
And
not.
the result is basically, if you're right, fuck it, you're right. I don't care. If I'm right, I still don't care about you guys and my vision. That's what we're going with forward. I feel like that's what it comes down to, basically.
But the thing is, with me, like, it has to be something more going on. There has to be something crazy behind the scenes. Like, because maybe it's just a situation where like the email said, like, the only way that something like this could be possible, what it says, any conspiracy theory is strengthened by the status quo being seemingly impossible or worthy of questioning. They've made so many missteps with Roman Reigns that I cannot sit here and simply believe that it is incompetence. Like,
Well,
it can't be.
Let me ask you this, Jay. And I'm sorry, Cass, I know you want to jump in here, but let me ask you this, Jay. All right. So do you think that over the last 2 years, with Roman Reigns, the inconsistent booking has come from two parties, Triple H's party and WWE's Creative's party? Because I feel like there's been signs, like we all can attest to this. There's been signs of the good in Roman Reigns, the badass Roman Reigns, and the WWE machine Roman Reigns. Maybe the badass Roman Reigns,
babyface machine.
yes, maybe the badass Roman Reigns is Triple H's vision, which was 2 years ago. Because if you remember, after the Shield broke up, there were signs there that Roman Reigns was bringing out this aggressive, mean streak, and he was, there were many weeks where he was confronting Triple H. Maybe at that time, Triple H was all for it, and it was his idea.
But see, here's the thing, though. I don't know that. I don't know. Like,
You're
I
right.
can only
You're right.
I can only look at the information that I have at my disposal and try to, put the puzzle pieces together the way that I see fit. And the way that I see it right now, like, something fishy is going on. Like, and just to go further into that, there was this story that was leaked. Or actually, it was an interview. I believe it was X-Pac, and he was talking to Jim Ross. I'm not quite sure if it was Jim Ross, but I'm
Yes,
sure
yes,
it
it
was
was-
X-Pac.
Yeah, it was Jim Ross.
He said that Triple H had to fight against WWE Creative to get that moment where Roman Reigns beat the shit out of him at the end of TLC. He had to fight to get that onto the show. And, like, something seems so fishy about that to me. Like, I read that and I was like, oh my god, WWE Creative, this is some bullshit. This is like, why are they doing this to Roman Reigns? Like, that wasn't the plan all along. But it seems very fishy to have your surrogate, basically in the form of X-Pac, going out there and telling people exactly what it is that they want to hear. Because what this does is it creates a paradigm where it's good cop versus bad cop, where Triple H is a good cop. He's bringing all of the new ideas to the table. He's the father of NXT, and you guys know Triple H has been hated by the internet wrestling community. But the fact that he's the father of NXT, the fact that these stories are leaking about him all pushing for Roman Reigns to be a badass behind the scenes, what this does is it raises the rep of Triple H, and it makes people like him more and more, and people get to a point where they gain respect for him. And it's just like, something seems very deliberate about this. Like, going back to the whole good cop versus bad cop thing, Triple H is the good cop and Vince is the bad cop, and he's the out of touch one, and more people are calling for Triple H to take over the reins and Triple H to be in power. So basically that's what this theory is stating. Triple H is making these moves, basically playing chess with the different pieces in WWE, trying to gain more leverage in the company to where he could get power.
I think the one thing that we definitely need to take away from this is the fact that, like, if Triple H had to fight his own system in the creative team, then he definitely knows that there is something wrong. He definitely knows that there is something wrong because of the inconsistent booking when it has come to Roman Reigns. And maybe he is the type of guy that needs to be the one that can take the risk, because we always get on WWE for not doing risk, for not, like, going off script or like going something that's out of the book. And what Triple H did at TLC is what he did was take something out of the blue and he turned it into gold, which is why I'm saying.
But here's the thing that I'm saying though, like this is exactly what I'm talking about right now, because you're playing into the good cop versus bad cop narrative. Like you take what Xbox said at face. But because this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about here. Like the whole the subterfuge and the chess game. Like this plays into the chess game. Hearing what Xbox said, taking it at face value and saying, okay, well that was good, then that means it was Triple H. But this was bad, and that means it's Vince McMahon. Like this is playing into his hand.
And another example of that. Look at TLC for example. Actually, no. Look at Survivor Series. Roman Reigns became the WWE World Heavyweight Champion that night after beating Dean Ambrose. Sheamus cashes in, another Triple H's cronies, I guess you could call him. And what happens after this? At TLC, Sheamus beats Roman Reigns once again. That time period, I genuinely believe that was WWE's booking.
Yes.
But what happened the night of TLC? What led to Triple H having to fight the system? He saw what things were, you know. It was bad at that time, and we all can attest to that. We saw how fucking bad it was at that time period. Triple H had to step up and do something, and lo and behold, what happened the next evening? Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw became the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. But, and I know what you're going to say, Jay, how is that saying Triple H buried Roman Reigns? I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is perhaps Vince McMahon changed things up, because here's the thing. Triple H disappeared for a month when Vince McMahon showed up. So what if Triple H said, you know what, Vince, we're gonna do things your way while I'm off TV. But when I fucking come back, it's my way or nothing. And look what we have gotten since Triple H came back.
Yeah, look what we have gotten. Did you see the Royal Rumble where Triple H came out as a legal participant in the match? He didn't catch Roman Reigns by surprise no more than anyone else would have caught Roman Reigns by surprise if they came out in the number 30 spot. Once again, we're in another situation, just like we were at on Monday Night Raw. The guys are standing even. They're even. Fair and square, face to face, and once again, we get showed who's the fucking star there. We get showed who's the more dominant person, who's the stronger person, who is the one with all of the star power and, you know, all of the majesty, and it's Triple H. But, like, the way that I see it, like, you guys are like, well, it may be true, but if it is, like, I'm all for it.
And here's the one thing that I think we all need to take away from. It's just, yes, Triple H has put in him a lot over the years in certain situations, like where it fits his ego, but he's always been able to do it in a situation where it gets the person off at the same time. I think what we all really need to realize is the fact that, like, when Triple H, when he knows how to get heat, he can get heat if he wanted to. And yes, Triple H, he came out as the face Monday Night on Raw. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But it's the fact that, like, what that does is
from the perspective of Roman Reigns, that's an issue, though.
Yes, from a perspective. Yes, from a perspective, yes, it's bad for him. But what we need to know is the fact that if he could just play off what he did on Monday and just continue on that to the path for Roman Reigns to actually eventually be the top guy, then that's what he's got to do. Triple H, unfortunately, he has taken the ball and he is going to run with it.
I agree.
But the problem is they're trying to tell a story like they told with Daniel Bryan and Triple H, and it's not going to work because Roman Reigns isn't a sympathetic figure in the way that Daniel Bryan is. So if they're telling this story with Roman Reigns, he is going to be smothered under who Triple H is.
And that's where Roman Reigns needs to come in. That's what Roman Reigns needs to show the badass that he can be.
But here's the problem. Here's what I'm talking about. If there are issues going on behind the scenes, a power struggle, and Roman Reigns is caught in the middle, and that's where you're getting the inconsistent booking and shit like that, how can he escape that? How can he escape that when there are levels above him that are raining down on him that he has no control over? He doesn't have any control over what's going on with executive power struggles in WWE.
But how many,
like, you guys admitted, like, shit, he could possibly be collateral damage. How does he take that and say, okay, it's about time that I be a badass?
And
like, you can't be a badass in the boardroom.
Well, here's the question I have to ask: What is necessarily wrong with WWE outside of the program coming off with the narrative that we're supposed to hate the machine. We're supposed to hate them. Jim Cornette might be a character that most people don't agree with in the IWC, but one thing I do have to agree with him is that Cornette and Lance Storm, for example, have realized that we as fans are almost supposed to hate them because they understand what they can do to get us, get under our skin. What's wrong with Triple H coming off as a martyr here, even if it comes off as hurting Roman Reigns in the end? Because, yeah,
he's not coming off as a martyr.
He has to be.
How so?
Triple H?
Because it's you're sacrificing somebody who the machine has gotten behind. You're sacrificing someone who Vince McMahon and the rest of the creative want to position as the face of the company.
That would mean that Roman Reigns is the martyr, not Triple H.
Yeah. I agree with that.
But definitely, here's the thing. Again, it all goes back to like the heel and the face. Like, who is the heel? Who is the face? What is this guy gonna do to help me like him? What is this guy gonna do to get me to dislike him? That is what Triple H is trying to do with Roman Reigns, and it is up to him. It is up to him. It is up to him and Roman Reigns to make this work.
Roman Reigns cannot turn Triple H into a heel. You just said right there, it's all about what can somebody do to make me dislike them.
And that's
Triple
his
H
job.
Beat the shit out of Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw.
Yep,
the crowd cheered. The crowd cheered.
He did his job.
You just said like the job of a heel. You just said the job of a heel is to get people to dislike them. If Triple H is a heel and he beat, battered, and bloodied Roman Reigns, that didn't cause people to dislike him. I am a bigger Triple H fan than I ever have been.
But it all goes back to what I said. Now it's going to have to be Roman Reigns' part. He's got to do his part.
But Cass, what Jay is trying to say is that this all refers back to the power struggle, and that's where Triple H is involved in all of this mess as well. Because, like I said, if you want to blame all these faults on Roman Reigns, go right ahead. But there's more to this behind the scenes, and we all know that. There's more to this behind the scenes. There's no way that there could be this much animosity on a guy like Roman Reigns without any real story behind it. There has to be something. Inconsistent booking. Why is that happening? It's like there's two versions of a creative team right now. This cannot be the same creative team booking Roman Reigns, because like I said earlier, we have seen the good and the bad and the in-between in Roman Reigns. Triple H is probably sick and tired of this, and he just, this is all or nothing for him.
You're giving him the benefit of the damn doubt, like I don't know what.
I'm failing to see why this is a negative, though. I mean, it's a negative for the talent in that they can never really trust where their spot is on the card. But even if it comes at Roman Reigns' expense as looking like what should be the face of the company, what's wrong with using this as an example of why certain people in the positions that they're in creative don't need to be doing what they're doing anymore?
Because you just said it right there. It's at Roman Reigns' expense. Me being a Roman Reigns fan, I want the guy to succeed. I don't want the guy to be a pawn in a larger game that exists so many levels above him that he really can't do anything about it. And that's the position he exists in right now.
They shouldn't have put him as a top guy, though. They shouldn't have done that then. They shouldn't have put him as the top guy then.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. This is basically like what politics is. When people say it doesn't matter who the president is because the system is broken. If the system is broken, it doesn't matter who's in that position. It could be Roman Reigns. It could be Seth Rollins. It could be anybody in that position. But if you don't see them as anything but pawns in your game, you're going to use them in whatever the hell way you want to. Like, if this is a game where Triple H is attempting to gain power and influence in WWE, doesn't matter whether it's Roman Reigns or anybody else. He's going to do what the hell he feels like he needs to do to get that power. And anybody who's in opposition to him, they're going to do what they need to do to get that power too. And speaking of the people who are in opposition to him, and this is taking it into a completely different level, like this whole conspiracy theory. Apparently, there's a power struggle right now between Triple H and his opposition is a WWE producer by the name of Kevin Dunn. Now, it's been known over the years that Kevin Dunn is a Vince McMahon guy. He's like Vince McMahon's right-hand man in WWE, and there are rumors floating about, the streets are talking, and they're saying that when Triple H and Stephanie get into power in WWE, the very first thing that they're going to do is boot Kevin Dunn's ass right out of the door. So we get into a situation now where Triple H is doing everything he can do to get power and influence in the company, and Kevin Dunn, he's doing everything that he can do to undercut Triple H and make sure that, okay, well, I'm going to stop this guy before he gets started. Where this is important, we just talked about this. The guys coming up from NXT. Have you noticed that it's a lot of trouble? I mean, you have Kevin Owens. He's in a good spot right now, but he came in straight out of the damn gate and he beat John Cena. He's at a lower level now than he was when he initially came into WWE. You could look at Neville. He's pretty much a Sports Center highlight package right there. Nothing more than that. And he actually was NXT champion. You look at Tyler Breeze. He was a contender for the NXT championship. That guy is missing in action. So could this be a situation where Kevin Dunn is seeing these guys come up from NXT, and Triple H knows that if these guys become big stars in WWE on the main roster, they owe their careers to me because I gave them their start in NXT. I fathered their careers basically, and I helped them out and I guided them along that way. So the more people you have in WWE who are indebted to Triple H, the more power he has, the more influence he has. Kevin Dunn, on the other side, he sees that and he's like, you know what? Fuck this. Hey, Vince, you know this Neville guy, I don't think he has it. You know, you not want to do anything with him. You see this Tyler Breeze guy? Yeah, he's just a gimmicky guy. He's never going to get anywhere. He's never going to be a big star. So do you guys like see the pieces coming together? And also, another thing, I don't know if you guys remember this, but on PWF Empire Live, I was talking about the Divas Revolution, and it was that time where when Nikki, she said, wins, losses, who cares? And I went off and I said, there has to be somebody behind the scenes like sabotaging this. There you go.
Well,
all the pieces are coming together now.
Go into detail with that. What do you mean there was, when she said that?
Those
basically, like I was talking about how the Divas Revolution was a hot ass mess, and it's not actually a revolution, because if you're placed in a position where you're trying to get people interested in women's wrestling, you don't say wins, losses, who cares, and then go into a multiple person match after that. Like, why the fuck are we going to care about that match when you just told us wins, losses, who cares? So my
basically, derailing the Divas division, or not the Divas division, but the Divas Revolution, the NXT.
Yeah. So my whole line of thinking is that with the NXT girls coming up, maybe we had Kevin Dunn behind the scenes telling Vince, oh, women's wrestling, it doesn't get over that. Nobody really cares about that stuff. So once again, because he knows if women's wrestling becomes a bigger deal in WWE, it's because of Triple H. It's because of the revolution that he helped usher in NXT. So that can't happen. So it's this big fucking power struggle going on. Triple H and Stephanie on one side, Kevin Dunn on the other.
You could definitely, you could definitely say there's competition and a power struggle, even though it's not confirmed. We don't know anything. This is all just being made up as of now.
Yeah, of course, this is all speculation.
Yeah, right. But there is, there is that support to this, because, like, going back to everything we've said, it kind of makes sense if there is a power struggle. I mean, look at all these change of plans we've had over the last few months. Dalton, I believe it was you who told us many, many days ago that at the Royal Rumble, the original plans were for Roman Reigns and Triple H to be the final two in the ring. So let's say that was a Triple H idea there, to bury Roman Reigns and just eliminate and toss his ass out of the ring. Triple H gets cheered. Roman Reigns gets booed. And by the way, this report is true because it's all over, the internet that this report came out. Apparently, when Roman Reigns went to the back, when they took him out of the match, the League of Nations did, the plans were changed for Reigns to not be involved in the final two and book Ambrose there, so that Triple H gets cheered, but not against Reigns because Reigns is a champ, but against Dean Ambrose because Ambrose, is second fiddle to Reigns or whatever. So what if that's Vince McMahon talking? Maybe Kevin Dunn talking to Vince, saying, hey, we need to protect Roman Reigns. We can't have this guy.
And actually, hey, this takes away from your little guy, Triple H little thing here, because what actually happened, that would have been the better choice than Roman Reigns and Triple H as the last two in the ring.
Well, what do you mean? Basically saying that Reigns and Triple H wasn't necessarily a burial?
No, what I'm saying is Triple H and Ambrose being the last two in the ring was much better than
Hmm.
Triple H and Reigns being the last two in the ring.
Right, but what I'm saying is perhaps Triple H and Ambrose wasn't Triple H's idea. Perhaps that was Vince's idea to protect Roman Reigns. Because if you
And if
think
that's
of
the case, then shit,
yeah,
good on him.
and
Good on him.
that must have been good on Vince's part, which rarely happens this day. Vince having it
Rarely.
good. So
Good
again,
cop, bad cop. Good cop, bad cop.
yeah. So again, that could be another scenario there that plays into the power struggle. Perhaps somebody getting in Vince's ear, because that's fishy there. The fact that you had to change the plans at the Royal Rumble and at TLC back-to-back pay-per-views, you had to change the plans, and Triple H had to fight the system. So there's definitely something that's being told backstage that we don't know about.
And again, sorry, Don, I didn't mean to cut you off, but again, I said this earlier. I think this pretty much all goes back to just maybe either Vince McMahon and Triple H just probably just want to outdo each other just to see who can possibly do the better job in terms of like trying to either get Roman Reigns over or anybody from, with Vince McMahon's case, or anybody from NXT or Kevin Dunn who's trying to get over. I mean, it's all about, because I said before and I'll say it again, I don't think that there will ever be another higher anarchy at the top when it comes to business, when it comes to Vince McMahon, and maybe that he wants to prove that to Triple H. Here's the thing. I think most fans, and myself and Jeff, we're all just sitting here thinking like, okay, this business is going to get even better when Triple H is in control. You also have to factor in that.
Here's the thing that I have to ask. I realize I misspoke earlier when I said Triple H was the martyr, because in that position it would put Reigns as the martyr. But
Right.
looking at that, if we were to look very briefly at the Montreal Screwjob, Bret Hart was a martyr, in that case, and the whole shape of wrestling, the way it was looked at in the public eye, it was changed. There was a whole lot more of the criticism that it's fake and contrived. But you look at all the things that surrounded that event, where a documentary was being filmed simultaneously, and it had people questioning the realism of wrestling in that moment. I'm wondering, why can't this be the same thing? Because even if Triple H, let's assume this is actually happening, this power struggle is real, and Triple H is attacking Roman Reigns internally, not because it's Reigns, but because of what it represents. I feel like if this is happening in the way it's being presented, and this is truth, somebody's going to have to take the fall here. And if it's for the better of the company down the line, I see how it could be a bit beneficial, because here's the thing. A lot of wrestlers in the 70s and 80s owed their careers to Vince McMahon when he brought them in, when he was dividing up the territories, and you could argue that the way he did that was completely with an iron fist. But a lot of the wrestlers, are in a debt of gratitude, and they were, Vince was hurt when they left for other companies. And in the same sense, maybe Triple H wouldn't admit to be doing that right now, but it's almost like it's an assumed debt of gratitude for the new superstars, because, yes, I made you somebody's, but had you been in the same position under this guy, you wouldn't have been anybody's.
Yeah, and that's and basically that plays into the theory, like you're gonna have a lot of wrestlers on the roster who have owe a debt of gratitude to Triple H, and sooner or later, we're gonna get to a point where Vince McMahon, you basically just have like vanity titles, like, because if everybody in the damn company is a Triple H guy, then Vince, like, your titles just exist there. So,
And ironically enough, the programming has changed a lot, but not because of the creativity, but more so because of the talent that's being brought in. This is the most talented roster we have had in years, and it's because of Triple H's influence. So that's, that could be another power struggle there, and the fact that you have all this talent being brought up under Triple H's watch, being on the main roster, and then they're booked like crap by Vince McMahon's crew.
Yeah, you're talking the roster from...
If NXT exists for the specific purpose of creating the next generation of WWE stars, and we get them from NXT to the main roster, like Cass, we've talked about this before, Breaking Ground. They made such a damn big deal about Tyler Breeze graduating from NXT, moving up to the main roster. He's a fucking nobody now. Like, you look at those situations, and you, like, we can sit here and people can say, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I know something don't smell right in here. I may not know what the fuck it is, but something does not smell right in here.
I mean, but it's the press agentry model of publicity. You know, it's not the whole. There's no such thing as bad publicity, but think about the screw job. It happened what 19 years ago, and people still talk about it today. And you know, this may not be the same level, but it's something that gets people talking about. I mean, we're talking about it right now. There are people that are talking about this on forums. It's one of those things where, true or not, it makes you invest in the product in the sense that you want to see what's going on. You want to see whether there's truth or whether this is all, you know, false.
But
I don't see really how this is a big negative other than the fact that people question where the talent sits, but people are always doing that.
Basically, I think.
How many times has WWE been able to take something like this and actually fully go through it?
Basically,
I mean, well, they're doing it right now. You introduce Shane McMahon into the story, like,
but
this
they haven't done that often.
Yeah, but like speaking specifically about where we're at right now, like introducing Shane McMahon into the story, the reason why he left WWE in the first place is because he didn't see any upward mobility in WWE. He knew Vince was going to be there. Vince is going to be with WWE until the day, you know, that very unfortunate day, you know, 35, you know, I'll give him a little more, 100 years into the future when Vince McMahon unfortunately passes away. Like Shane, he knew that Vince was going to be in that position and he couldn't move upward. So now you have Shane coming back, and all of the questions, is Shane just an on-screen character? Is Shane going to start getting back into the corporate side of WWE? And you know that with him being there, he gains more influence simply based off of the fact that his name is a McMahon, simply based off of the fact that his name is not Triple H or Stephanie, because all of the people who may dislike them could possibly start gravitating towards Shane, and he gains influence in that way. So now we have another person entering into the power struggle that.
And I think one of the things that we definitely need to encourage is, like, and we all know who Linda McMahon is. When you saw Linda McMahon, you knew that she was the mother of Shane McMahon. But when you saw Stephanie, you knew specifically that she was the daughter of Vincent Kane McMahon. Maybe it was another situation like where, because here's the thing, I think we can pretty much tell we've seen Shane on screen like over the years. He hasn't really been like the type of guy like the actual heel authority figure, much like Vincent Kane McMahon, whereas Stephanie has been able to portray that on TV and definitely off screen. So maybe it's a situation where maybe Vince McMahon just didn't see enough in Shane to actually be able to trust him enough, and he just saw much more of that in his own daughter and maybe some in Triple H.
That definitely could be a possibility there.
To go back to go back and put like a stone on all this Roman Reigns thing from earlier. Basically, I think it all comes down to him being a victim of some party, whether it's Triple H's party, maybe even both parties, WWE's party and Triple H's party. But he has to be a victim of one, or if not both, because there's no way that you could just have this chaotic mess go on for over a year. Because WWE is everything but stupid. And I know you guys are gonna say, no, listen. I know you guys are gonna say, well, you know, they are stupid. But what I mean is, they're not that stupid to the point where something is not working that they're gonna keep going along with it. So there has to be something here that, you know, that Roman Reigns is a part of. And it's unfortunate for him, but I feel like he's being tied into having to drag on a part of this drama where he's a part of a war, basically. You know, whether he wins with whatever party, it's all gonna be relied upon with whatever party ends up winning, and Roman Reigns is tied into all of that. That's what this comes down to. But back to this whole Shane McMahon thing, it's being reported as of now that he's not confirmed as like a backstage executive or anything like that.
Yeah, he's just a talent.
Yeah, just an on-air talent. So who knows if this is going to be something that maybe in the near future, 2 years down the line, he does become an actual powerhead. But this, once again, brings up the whole Triple H influence thing. What if many, many years ago, I'm not saying this is true, but what if many years ago, Triple H ran Shane McMahon out of the fucking building?
And let me tell you something, when Lucas,
we know that's like Vince ran Shane out of the building. We got that part.
Like, people, just to be clear, when Lucas said that WWE wasn't stupid. He wasn't meaning like they're like TNA stupid, just to be clear right there.
Pretty much.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a certain level of incompetence that you sink to where you're like, okay, something is going on here. Like this isn't regular stupidity. Like some shit is going on here. I don't understand what it is. I want to find out.
Yeah,
It's
TNA
basic.
stupidity is advanced stupidity, right?
It's like basically it's not even a storyline anymore for Roman Reigns. It's not about making him the face of the company. It's just about who's right and who's wrong politically wise. That's what this is about right now. Pretty much.
How does he succeed with that?
And that's what I want to know.
That's so
You
weird.
guys, y'all don't even care. You're like, fuck, collateral damage. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Dalton is like, well, if it's for the better of the
If you look at it from
wrestling
a,
industry, throw his ass in a volcano. Human sacrifice.
if you look at it from a utilitarian point of view, that's for the greater good. Utilitarians. It's a subject of philosophy, but regardless of that, it's like look at the Shane thing. It's funny that they've signed Shane as an on-air talent because that's all Vince ever saw him as, and that's why he still has the respect of the fans because he was willing to take risks and shine in a way that no other McMahon could. Because none of the McMahons are, with exception to Shane, none of the McMahons are any kind of in-ring generals or in-ring knowledge for that matter.
Trish Stratus versus Stephanie McMahon, No Way Out 2001.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yeah, that match was porn because it ended with a spanking and an assist from.
That's around the point.
I have an interesting.
Is that what you get out of your stuff? An assist from William Regal? Is that like a category?
Hey, that man is the best general manager in NXT history, so don't knock him.
But
Go ahead.
Looking at Shane, like, shoot, if Vince ran him away, that's really unfortunate. But we can see that. I honestly feel like back in the day when Shane was somewhat more of an on-air personality, he just didn't exude what Vince wanted from him, and Stephanie just naturally did. She naturally plays a heel, and people naturally want to hate her. Whereas Shane, last night, at least for me, seeing as we haven't seen him in over 6 or 7 years, his personality was far more pronounced. But I think that was because absence makes the heart fonder, and he came off as very satirical and sarcastic to the point that he's like shoving things in their faces, and the whole promo was dealt with a sense of realism in that what he's talking about very well happened, and I think that Shane right now playing the role that he's playing, if it does evolve into something else, it very well could put an end to this authority angle, or at least provide an offshoot for it that we desperately need. And I don't see anything wrong with that because it's fresh, it's new, and people already have a good baseline for Shane, whereas the authority has been on rocky ground for years now.
And I have an interesting question. I have an interesting question to propose to all three of you guys right now. All right. So with all of this being said, you guys mentioned we've all mentioned how Vince McMahon possibly ran Shane McMahon out of the building.
No, like Shane said out of his own mouth, Vince McMahon's shadow was too big.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, the irony in all of that, and this is the question: what if, looking back at it now, Vince McMahon himself, ironically enough, is the guy responsible for bringing Shane McMahon back? And here's more to the story: what if Vince wanted to approach Shane and was like, you know what? I'm looking at my company right now. Maybe I do need somebody else to
What in the world are you smoking? Don't even go there.
Hey, it's possible.
I'm telling you, Vince McMahon is going to. Vince McMahon is WWE. WWE is Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying
I don't want to put it that way, but the guy has a great passion for the business, a great dedication to the empire that he built, and
so then
I don't see him saying, okay, I'm going to start grooming you as my successor. I honestly believe Vince McMahon is the type of person in his mind he thinks he's going to live forever.
But then why the hell would Shane McMahon come back out of nowhere? There has to be something there. Why did they bring him back?
WrestleMania.
Yes.
WrestleMania.
But it's not just about WrestleMania, because I don't know if you guys heard, post WrestleMania, there's a Raw that's being advertised as Raw versus WWE. It seems like this is something that's in for the long run here for Shane O'Mac.
Honestly, I looked that up. It turns out it was pretty much just an error. Like, they're not really doing it. It turns out they do most Raws like that.
Well, if it's an error, okay, but why? Why bring back Shane McMahon? I don't think it's just because of WrestleMania, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I mean, we could just say, "Here comes the money."
It's because they're putting a fresh coat of paint. They're putting a fresh coat of paint on a jalopy. Like they're in dire straits, and so we need to polish this turd as best we can, so we can present it in the school science fair.
Like if they do this right, it's gonna be a lot more than just putting a fresh coat of paint. It's gonna be like what they did in Grease, Grease Lightning, like the car completely systematic. What do you say? Hydromatic. Why it's Grease Lightning? Okay, that's where we're gonna end this show. Thank you guys for being a part of this. I'm gonna post this and see what the response is. We would love to know what you guys think about this. I don't even know how long this show went. All I know is that I had a wonderful time, and man, oh my god, like this stuff is so good. All of this corporate espionage and subterfuge and all of this stuff is so exciting. It really is. Straight out of a damn soap opera.
You just ruined it for me as soon as you said that goddamn word.
Alrighty, guys. Until next time. Peace out.